for Katie Chats here at SMITHEE TV in downtown Toronto with Douglas Rotstein, who is a script supervisor here in Toronto, who's worked on Cosmopolis, Take This Waltz, Dawn of the Dead, Resident Evil, Afterlife, the list goes on and on and on. You started out at University of Toronto. You got a degree in drama and English. What were the steps you took after that to pursue this career?
Well, you know, it had nothing to do with, it had nothing to do with this career. I didn't want to be behind the camera. I wanted to be in front of the camera. So I studied acting. Mm-hmm. So I went to, after U of T, I went to the Neighborhood Playhouse in New York City. Mm-hmm. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's very famous.
Yeah. And I studied there for a year, studying acting. And I didn't get in for the second year at the program, and I caught hepatitis while I was there. So I came back to nurse myself back to health, and I started an acting school here in Toronto. Mm-hmm. So this has nothing to do with continuity. And I had a partner, and we went along for a couple of years doing the acting school, and then I got bored with that. And a friend of mine was directing a film, and I asked him, where can I go to learn how to be a director? And he said, well, don't go to school for that, you know, come do continuity on my next film. And that was Paul Donovan and Salter Street Films. I don't know if you know that. Do you know who they are?
Yeah, I've heard of them, yeah.
From Nova Scotia. Mm-hmm. And so basically what happened is I called up somebody who was a continuity person, and they spent 4 hours with me, and the next day I was on a flight to Nova Scotia to do continuity. Mm-hmm. So it was mostly trial by fire.
Great. And how was that first experience? Did you fall in love with it?
The first experience was fantastic because there was a great camera crew who helped me along, and the director knew that it was my first time, and sort of basically it was really trial by fire, and I started catching the camera operator on stuff that he never usually gets caught on, so that sort of gained their respect right away. And then before I knew it, when I came back to Toronto, after that show, things just started dominoing. So there was another, I think the first thing I did in Toronto was the Ray Bradbury series, mm-hmm. and working with Atlantis Films for that. And then it just kept going. People kept hiring me. So I thought, oh, this isn't what I want to do. I'm still saying that.
And tell me what exactly a script supervisor is. I know a lot of people may not be totally familiar with the position, mm-hmm. but what does it entail?
Well, it's pretty much, it's different for every job because you work very closely with the director, and some directors have different strengths. Your job is to make sure that whatever gets put on film is usable for the editor to cut it. Now, sometimes that has to do with film convention, you know, eye lines, screen direction. Sometimes it has to do with physical action, so that if, you know, in the wide shot, they've got their hand up on their face like this. If they have their hand on their lap in the close-up, then you can't cut between the two shots. So you have to make sure that there's continuity of action. You have to make sure there's continuity of wardrobe, props, set dressing, everything. So how do you keep track of all of these things happening at the same time? That's the secret. I don't know. You have to, the most important thing is to know, I mean, really you have to be well-versed in filmmaking. Mm-hmm. And so you have to know how things cut together. And sometimes it matters, and sometimes it doesn't. Mm-hmm. And depending on each director, some directors, they'll shoot every angle and every size, and they'll have all kinds of choice. And then other directors will only choose one angle for each piece of dialogue, and then you have to be very careful. So if you are working with a director who wants to do 12 different shots, are you like, no? Well, no, that's because I want to go home and get some sleep. But I mean, no, if they're doing a lot of coverage, when you cut, usually you cut to a close-up like this, they can be doing anything with their hands, as long as they're not picking their ear or, you know, rubbing their eye or doing stuff like that. So you can get away, once they're in the close-up like that, they can do stuff. But it's when there isn't that kind of coverage that it's really more important to have the correct continuity. But then also, you know, some directors want them to do the same things because it changes their performance. You know, if they have their hand on the keys, and then when they do the close-up, they don't have the hand on the keys in a scene, then it gives them a different performance. So, I mean, it also affects the actual performance of the actors. And you're making sure the actors are saying the right lines, and it also changes from director to director. Some directors are auteurs, and they painstakingly have written the script, and they want to make sure that the actors say exactly the words that are in the script. And then there are other directors who just, you know, if it's the right idea, then that's fine.
And do you find that actors sometimes struggle with continuity, or generally speaking, do they have a really good handle on it?
That's a good question. Well, you're an actor.
Yeah, I know.
Do you struggle with continuity?
Well, sometimes. I try to be aware of it, but I'm just curious, you know, you've worked on so many films, what the general consensus is.
Well, you know, I don't want to say this because it's probably politically incorrect. The good actors have a handle on their own continuity. I rarely have to talk to them. Some actors who are always worried about continuity don't do very good continuity because they're so worried about it. And when they get in the moment of the scene, they'll do it differently every time. I mean, we're talking about things like raising your arm on a certain word in a sentence. Now, sometimes that doesn't matter. Different directors, again, you know, working with Guillermo del Toro on Pacific Rim, it was killing the actors because, you know, we would do a master, or we do the scene, and once he got a take that he liked, he wanted them to do everything exactly the same. So it meant that if they stood up on a word, they had to stand up on the same word. If they turned their head on a word, they'd have to do that. And so I was the guy that had to go tell them all the time. And some of them didn't mind, and you know, some of them said, well, you know, I'm Charlie Day is a improv actor, right? And so the first day on set, you know, I came up and said, well, you know, Charlie, it's going to be like this. And he said, well, you know, I'm an improv actor. There's not a chance I'm ever going to do it. But, you know, after the first day of, he would do a couple of takes, and I would talk to him, and the director would say, no, you got to do what, my nickname was the creature. You have to do what the creature says. And so after the first day of sort of improving a lot, he started doing it. And because what Guillermo would do is after we've done two shots in a scene, he'll start taking the playback of one take and seeing how it cuts with the playback of another take. So he'll be going back and forth, and he's very demanding that way.
When you watch movies, do you see errors in continuity a lot?
No.
No.
No, because well, it depends. If it's a bad movie, yes. If the movie, if I'm interested in the movie, I don't watch for it.
And what advice would you give to someone who's wanting to become a script supervisor? What steps should they take?
Don't do it. I don't know. It's a very difficult process because you can take a course and then you're not a very good script supervisor necessarily. There are courses you can take. We're giving a course with IATSE probably in a month or two. But again, that's not going to turn you into a script supervisor. You have to have the experience, and you have to understand film editing, and that takes time. You have to know when is the right time to do the right thing.
And where is the best place to find out more information on you and your upcoming projects online?
Oh, there is nowhere.
IMDb, I guess.
Well, yeah, but IMDb is usually after the fact, so I never know what the next project's going to be. You know, I've been doing some directing as well. I did a Bravo fact recently, and that'll be on Bravo soon, so that should be, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to try and do another one of those. I'm developing a script for a play called The Willow Quartet, with a bunch of actors that have performed the play before, and so that should be good. I mean, but as far as script supervising, you know, the movies come into town, the directors interview me, and but I mean, okay, if you want to start out as a script supervisor, it's a funny job because people see, it looks very glamorous because you're sitting next to the director and you're right in the heart of the action, but it's a, you know, if you're not good at it, you don't last very long. So, I mean, most people who've stuck with script have to be good at it because, you know, if you make a mistake, you're usually fired. Yeah, go take the course, try to find a script supervisor who is willing to train you. That's probably the best thing to do.
And in terms of your directing, are you focusing on comedy, drama? What's your genre?
Well, I don't have a specific genre. The Bravo fact was comedy. It was a bunch of superheroes who have relationship problems, so it's pretty funny. The feature is more serious, but it's based on a play, so I mean, I have no choice. I like the play, so I'm going to help try and develop that. And I saw your interview with Danny Lyon, so now I know where to go for the money.
Well, you're welcome. Oh, I'm just kidding. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on all of your success, and I look forward to watching your Bravo Facts and your feature coming up.
Great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Katie Uhlmann reporting for Katie Chats here at SMITHEE TV in downtown Toronto.